This is the Plain English Real Estate Show with your host, Rowena Patton, a show that focuses on the real estate market in terms you can easily understand. Call Rowena now. The number is 240-9962 or 1-800-570-9962. Now here's the English girl in the mountains, the agent that I would trust, Rowena Patton.
Good morning. It's Patrick Franzen stepping in for my best friend, Rowena Patton. Yeah, folks, thank you for listening today. We're going to have an exciting show. I've got a fantastic guest, Jason Bramblett, on the show today with us, and I'm super fantastic excited about having him in a discussion. It's just quite interesting every time. You know, Jason's been in North Carolina a very long time. He's practiced real estate for 25 years, you guys. So there might be some experience coming out of this fella's mouth. You know, he's one of the few that's still around that can even handle doing this 25 years, and he's cooking. I bet he's got another 25 in him. But I'm very excited about his conversation today. You know, we've got all kinds of topics we can talk about in the real estate world right now, from interest rates to what the market's doing, who our buyers are. And Jason's over in Raleigh, North Carolina. My listeners are excited about that because we kind of, you know, we know the Asheville market pretty good. We tell you a lot about what's going on in Asheville, but it's nice to hear what's cooking on that part of the state and in the middle part of the state. So without any further ado, I'd love to get Jason on here and say a big hello. Thank you, Jason.
Hey, good morning, Patrick. It's good to hear your voice on this beautiful North Carolina Saturday. How about that? You could bottle this up and sell it almost, I think.
Oh, man, it's just absolutely beautiful. Our weather's just perfect here in Asheville. It was crisp this morning. Right now we're about 56 degrees and just lovely, and the day's going to heat up to around the 70s. So I know everyone that's come to visit here in Asheville is just having a treat right now. I know I've got some clients that have come in and they've bought homes, and this Asheville area is their second home market, you know, and they're coming up and visiting, and they're loving the change of the foliage around our area here in western North Carolina. And I'm sure your leaves are looking good too over there.
Oh yes, absolutely. Yes, it is. We're a little, you know, a couple of weeks behind you guys, I'm sure, and you know, but it is. I don't know, October, and even I guess heading into November now as we cruise through. It's amazing how quick. October is my favorite month, and I'm always disappointed how quickly it does go. That is for sure. But none like the changing of the seasons, the changing of the real estate market, as they say, is quite. I don't know if it's quite as beautiful as the leaves and the topography and all that we have in Asheville and throughout our state, but it's definitely changing. That is for sure. And you got to be ready because lots of new things are hitting the real estate market. That is for sure.
Yeah, it's a big topic for everybody, and of course, you know, we have our CPO programs that you're part of, and I am part of, a fantastic group of agents that are training to handle all the different types of situations that can confront our customers, clients, friends, and families, and the people that we're close to. Yeah. And it's very nice to get educated on not only these cash CPO programs, but just how to help your folks and how to help seniors, and then how to help seniors' families, and then how to help divorcees. You know, a lot of folks go through that. I'm a participant. Randy, I think you've jumped in that program once before, maybe, and
No comment.
No comment? Okay, sorry. Peanuts is over here.
It's called, Randy, we cannot use any wisdom on this show. Now, come on. You've gotta steal it.
Oh, man. Well, you know, the wisdom comes with your agent, and that's one of the things with this top group of folks at CPO is we're learning, and we have learned.
We've learned not to do that again.
Yeah,
right?
we've learned not to do it again.
No, yeah.
So it's but we've also learned how to help people with experience and with empathy. And I know Jason's pretty much covered all of these a lot, and you're an expert in almost any of those fields prior to the CPO program. From what I realized and listening to the past programs, you've been doing this for 25 years.
Yeah, quite. And it seems as though that went very quickly. It is. Some days I wake up and it's like there is absolutely no way the man in the mirror I'm looking at is me. I just because I don't feel the age in which may be reflecting back to me. We'll put it that way.
I guess what I'm getting at
it's
your
great.
experience with cycles, and
Yes, for sure.
The market is always exciting, and we've been very vibrant. We're starting to see a tail off, or maybe a stabilization, possibly, hopefully for folks. But I understand that about the cycles. So can you share with us over those 25 years, the cycles? I mean, I know about them. I've been in real estate since '06, and I know the ups and downs, and I would like to help our folks understand and how to cover when those cycles are up and down. Clement Huglar came up with the economic cycle back in 1860, and so those up and downs with our markets are very common. This one's been a strange one, this last one. But share with us a little bit what your thoughts are for the future. Yeah,
for sure. I mean, it's with these cycles that come through, I mean, the weirdest thing about the last one we have is a lot of times it's market influence, whether it be just the whole economy, whether, going into or coming out of war, obviously is going to increase or escalate, to a certain degree when you come back into a growth pattern, which we have seen that. When we look at interest rates, though, we look at the 50-year average. Actually, you can even go back 60 years and look at these cycles. There's really only two major corrective cycles, if you will, or I guess I didn't correct it, but I'd say attention-getting cycles. That would be interest rates in the 80s when we went, 15, 16, 17%. And then from 2010, basically we had quantitative easing set in, and basically we had 10 years of artificial pressed down interest rates where the government was artificially pressing down the rates to these sub 4%. And that's obviously the season that we're coming out of, and that's the tough one that a lot of folks are still struggling with. They keep looking back going, well, rates are going to go back. Well, they're only going to go back with an artificial interference. They're not going to go back through what would be healthy, is allowing the economy to dictate where the interest rates go. And so when we look at 50 years of interest rates, the mortgage rate for a 30-year loan in the United States has averaged 7.75% over those 50 years. So we look at today's rate at 8%, and we're like, oh, these things are terrible. Actually, they're kind of in line with the average over 50 years. They're just terrible compared to this last 10-year cycle that we've had. And that is a frustration. That is a hang-up. And the closer we are to that happening, the more frustrated folks are. And they also hang on to the hope that we're going to go back to that. Now, could we? Sure, because it's government. And, well, let's face it, they tend to do what government does. They will print money when it's not necessary, and they'll print money when it's not necessary. So they will control economics as much as they possibly can. I think as consumers, we have to get back to the realization of actually we're really back now to the perfect place we should be, where the economy of supply and demand economics are dictating the interest rate. And it just so happens we're just about a quarter to a half a point higher than the 50-year average. That's, again, I won't say that's easy for people to get used to, but when we look at the history of the economy and the rates and the cycles, we're kind of back home to where we should have been maybe the last even 10 years.
Yes.
Your thoughts?
No, I'm right there with you. I mean, it's all in the numbers. So, you're exactly right. The 8% is not that far off of a traditional mortgage rate of 7.75. So it's frustrating because we had it good there for a little bit.
It is.
And a lot of folks took advantage of it. And they're kind of house locked now. I hear it left and right. Well, gosh, Patrick, we want to come to Asheville so bad. But I got a 2.95 mortgage here, and we're just struggling with what we could get for this home here in Iowa, and then what we could buy there, because they're getting online and they're seeing the homes and they're seeing the prices have increased. So there's opportunity still out there for folks, to jump in right now. And, inventory, in my opinion, is still low.
Yes, sir.
And in our area, it just gets swallowed up. If it's under $550,000, it's a wrestling match in the front yard. They're, working around yard art trying to keep somebody from getting his house. And so I say yard art fun. We're in Western North Carolina, so you sometimes run into a little bit of that, but we call it artsy.
That's right.
It's a little artsy.
That's it.
But yeah, I'm also
one thing. Well, one thing I wanted to say about that real quick, Patrick, and I definitely let's dive into the CPO programs. But one thing to think about you is the consumer that does feel trapped, because I think you used the right word. Trapped is a good word. So we got to go back to the reason of buying a home. The best reason to buy a home is to create the lifestyle in which you want to create for you, yourself, your family, your spouse, whoever your family unit is. That's the whole reason for home ownership, in my opinion. Design the life in which you want to create. And so putting yourself on hold or being trapped, you feel, we're talking to folks that have a 2.8% interest rate that absolutely deplore their neighbors, their house, their everything. But they feel stuck or trapped, as you said, because of this interest rate. And so we've been coming up like, okay, well, how can we get you untrapped? Because that's what a good salesperson does, is we figure out the way, the path. And so for some of my listeners or your listeners out here, I would encourage you, let's sit down and do the math, because one thing that we've looked at is with rent increasing as great as it has, especially in North Carolina, a lot of times you can rent your home and the delta, meaning the difference between your payment at the 2.8% and what the current rate of rent is going for, actually that money, Patrick, will offset the interest rate difference. And so if we look at, okay, well, in an ideal situation, I would pull the trigger and move to Asheville or move to, North Carolina if rates were at 4.5%, whatever, we'll make up a number.
Right.
Well, we take a look at what the rate is at the 2.8, and we take a look at what, rent for that home could be. And what we're seeing is most owners are looking at anywhere between $750 to $1,200 a month positive cash flow, money above what their mortgage obligation is. And then if we take, and let's just make math easy for radio, let's just say that it's $1,000 of that delta. And we take that $1,000 and apply it to the new home, that the new home is sitting at 7.5%. Guess what? When I take that $1,000, which, by the way, my tenant is paying, not you, right? That money is coming from the tenant of house one.
And you're still paying that house one's bills.
Yes, you are. And actually, and I want to make sure they got the right U. The right U is your tenant actually is paying that, not you, the property owners, are on the deed.
That's right.
So it's actually it's a twofold win. I've got a tenant paying House A, my primary home, at the time. They're paying 100% of my cost, plus I'm getting $1,000 to the good to apply to the home that I really, really, really want to live in. That's my dream, or it's the house that at least lets me create the lifestyle. And guess what? When I zero out that $1,000 difference in price, it takes effectively my interest rate from 7.5, and it gets me right back to like 4, 4.25, 4.5, which is kind of my tolerated rate that I'd be willing to pay. And so it's a win-win. Not only is your tenant paying for the entire cost of the first house, they're actually paying a substantial portion of the home that you really want to be in. So, and how do you come to these realizations? You got to have conversations with, real estate professionals out here in your market. So it's Rowena and her team here in Asheville. You talk to them and you learn the math and you create the clear path, and it makes it super easy to have the visual now. It makes it super easy to see that, hey, I actually could do this, and I am not trapped, Patrick, in my house like I thought I was. It's a big aha for a lot of people.
It is a great aha. I love it. You can capitalize on that low rate you have, still go to the place that you want to be because you've just fallen out of love from this, this, I'm sure it's a wonderful property. But Jason, then you just go ahead and maybe long-term rent that. And,
yes.
And it's quite substantial, the difference in rents now. So you're exactly right. Thank you for bringing that to our listeners. That's a great way of thinking about this. There's problems that you run into, and I guess what does the problem create as far as pain-wise? And when is that pain so great that then you have to make that call to, I got to get out of this? I hear it all the time. It's just become painful. And that being either taking care of the yard, taking care of the home, maybe you've sort of ran through a little bit of a financial downfall and you didn't have the money to replace that roof, and lo and behold, it started leaking. Or maybe you've got a problem with a retention wall, or maybe you got a stinky ashtray and you're just ready to get it out of it and move on to a retirement facility. That's where this CPO program is so wonderful for folks. And we've helped people in foreclosure. It is a good feeling when you take somebody that was so stressful a week and a half ago, you get them to where they're paid off their debt, which is a ton of bricks on them, so much, though, it gives them heart attacks, quite literally. And, they're now free. They're free of the burden. And so that's what this wonderful CPO program has been creating, and I'm so excited that Rowena has created an opportunity for our customers, our clients, to be able to win. And it really is something that, as realtors, we really do care about people, and we take it home with us, and we sleep on it. And I know you want to make sure that your client's buying a home, getting a good home, but you also want to make sure your seller's getting everything they can for a home and not going through a burden. It's not easy listing a home, going in and out, people coming in and out. But then what people don't realize is your 1970s and 80s furniture just isn't appealing to what this market might be trying to find. And, those blue and yellow walls, those just aren't exactly what they're looking for either. And now they're starting to get a little bit of choice because there's a little bit of product coming on the market, a little bit more here and there. And so there's starting to be a little bit of a choice. And homes are overpriced a little bit right now because people are sort of going through a little bit of a shock. Where we're finding overpriced is in some of our areas is the appraisals coming back. But, that's kind of washed out by a lot of folks that are sitting on cash because they sold their house somewhere else. I've found that about 50% of our market here is at least seniors, 55 and over, purchasing. So this CPO program, man, has been fantastic. We're using it in so many different ways. And, there's the FSBO, for sale by owner CPO. There's relocation CPO. There's estate CPO. Mom and dad have passed away. Asheville, the way it is for us here, Jason, is people come here to die. And they might be 55 or 60, and they spend 30, 40 years here retired. And they've got money, and they've taken care of their places, and they've kept this home for their kids to be able to have something to sell and have a little bit of money. Well, guess what? The kids, they don't want the home. They're happy wherever they're at. They really don't want the problem.
Right.
So maybe you take care of that through, letting us go ahead and sell it for you. Go through type of retirement CPO and move on over to assisted living CPO. It's just a fantastic way of being able to handle your home without messing with all the stuff that's involved with listing and selling your home, the phone calls. And then realizing that, most agents don't necessarily tell you this, but a third of deals fall out. So then you're going through the process again, and then it's a segmented home. Why did it fall out?
Right.
But your thoughts on this CPO, where have you been this week? What has your team been able to capture? What are some of your experiences with the Certified Pre-Owned Home Program?
Yeah, so I think let's start with this because we have a lot of new listeners all the time. So let's talk about what is CPO. So Certified Pre-Owned. Certified Pre-Owned is, in its essence, is essentially we're going to get your home pre-inspected to find out what is right and wrong with the property. All right, we'll do a title search on the property, make sure there's no major title issues, or these would be typically what we find is the title issue was just a clerical error. It was a mistake that an attorney made. It could be a mistake, and if you refinanced your home or did a home equity line of credit, perhaps the original mortgage did not get closed out properly. That in North Carolina creates what we call a cloud on the title, which can hinder you and will hinder you from being able to sell your home. So we want to find these things out front. We want to find out what is wrong, what is right. Are there any issues with the title? And, of course, we put a warranty on the home that can transfer to the new owner, but really it's to protect you, the person that owns the house. Now, I call it Murphy's Law repellent, Patrick, because it's just life. Anytime you decide to do something, old Murphy shows up. And, the hot water heater in the house has been fantastic the whole time you lived there. And we put the house on the market, and, of course, the first thing that happens is hot water heater decides to stop working. And so what we would do is the warranty kick in and get that replaced for you. So getting the house certified also gives the person buying the house peace of mind. It is statistically proven with every single product under the sun that when the consumer has a clear understanding as to what they're buying, whether it be perfect or whether there be problems, once they have a clear understanding of what it is, they actually are willing to pay more for the product by having that education. So it works with widgets, it works with cars, it works with real estate. And so that is the masterful piece of the Certified Pre-Owned, is we're displaying to the consumer what is going on with the house, which gives them confidence to move forward. Think about it. Psychologically, us as humans, when we're uncertain at something and we really don't know what we're doing, our protection mechanism typically is this term we like to use called lowball. I'm going to lowball Patrick on the offer because I don't know if the car runs all the time as he says it does. I'm going to lowball Patrick on the offer because I don't know. I haven't been in the crawl space. I haven't been in the attic. I feel like the heat is working today, but did they do something to patch the heating and cooling system just for the time in which they're showing it? With the certified pre-owned, we know the answer to those questions because we had the home checked out in the crawl space, in the attic, had the heating and cooling checked out. And we give those reports and share that data with the consumer, which gives them a confidence in knowing that a third party checked this out and verified it, and they feel good about it. So that is the essence of that certified pre-owned. And then we look at, the for sale by owner piece, the assisted living piece, and those things, and kind of dissect the person, the audience in which we're talking to. And the really cool thing about this is connecting with our investor group, which is where the real power of this comes in. So we do this for our consumers all throughout the state of North Carolina, us involved in this program. Well, we found an investor that actually loved it and liked our program and liked the certified pre-owned process. And just so happens that is also what they would do when they purchased investment property, which was a great little marriage, if you will. And so Fred, our investor, steps in, basically reviews our certified pre-owned system and the house. And then what does he have? Full confidence to move forward. And the amazing thing about this particular investment group that we work with, Patrick, is they make a full fair market price offer on the house.
Yeah,
this isn't your typical
full market value cash offer. I mean, that's incredible.
Yes, and this is somebody that gets real estate, gets the program, but also gets real estate, understands that there are things that you can do to a home to bring them in line with current market conditions, and typically that does have to do with the condition of the house, and it creates equity. It creates a sellable asset that appeals to more people. And when you have something that appeals to more people, well, typically the price does go up. And to your point about the 1970s, home, not just the furniture, but perhaps, the wallpaper. Maybe not even the 70s. I mean, we could get into the 80s. I mean, if you have ivy border in your kitchen, we're probably talking to you folks. These, if you have Berber carpet, yes, we are talking to you. We can help because a lot of times, I think a lot of times, Patrick, we talk to folks that they know that the house is dated. They know that the house needs probably, fresh paint, carpet, countertops, these type of things to be in contention to get top dollar. But there's a risk associated with that. And when you don't do it every day, it just feels very burdensome. And they don't want to make a mistake. If I've lived in my home for 25 years and it basically, let's just say it's exactly the way it was when I bought it 25 years ago. I mean, look, I loved it 25 years ago when I bought it just as it was. It was my maybe dream house. But I've not changed anything. Even though I kind of know I should have, what the conversation that we hear is, I just don't want to make a mistake, Jason. I don't want to make a mistake. I don't want to choose the wrong paint color. I don't want to, I don't want to spend $10,000 and put the wrong type of floor covering down, whether it be carpet or whatever it is. I don't have the money to correct that mistake if I make the wrong decision. That is the beauty of the CPO program and working with our investor. They do thousands of houses, and they have the data, and they know exactly what the consumer is looking for, and they are taking that risk going forward, not you, the homeowner, which feels, well, Patrick, what we hear is it feels like a big relief. I don't know what you guys are hearing, but that's what we're hearing.
Oh, it's a big relief for our folks. I've got one that really, they actually had gone that rental route because they do have that low rate, and they're over in Charlotte, and the home just started, it needed a hot water heater, it needed this, it became to where they weren't able to come by and just visit and make sure the grass was cut, kind of thing as a renter. Sometimes you forget to break out the lawnmower and cut your grass. But, sometimes that call from the landlord, hey, listen, the grass is kind of tall. The neighbor called and, Wasn't want any bugs or snakes in her yard. So anyway, you get that grass cut for me, okay? Well, it doesn't happen. Next thing you know, you do make a drive-by. You come by, your house looks awful, and it's like, all right, that's it. I'm just done with this. And that's sort of where they were at. Renting is not easy. So that's the other flip there, you got that great rate, but you also got to deal with renters. Maybe it's a good program for you. Maybe it works for a little bit. Well, what do you know? They didn't trash the place by any means. They just didn't keep it up like if you owned the home. So the pride of home ownership wasn't there. And although they weren't, vicious to the home, it still gets wear and tear. And so you come back into the home after the renters left, and it's like, goodness, let's call Patrick. So sure enough, man, we got a good offer. The appraisal came back actually over the offer, and we went in there. We spent about $10,000 just really removing a lot of stuff and painting a little bit. We got some siding up that had fallen, and just cleaned it up. Cut down a bunch of dead trees and fruit trees that were not dead but looked not right, and so cleaned it up. Man, this place looks beautiful. And we just went on the market yesterday, and I've had fantastic volume of schedulings to go out and see it. So I'm excited about it, getting that one sold. Product's going quick. It's a good program. It's been really smooth for my sellers. And, with the CPO, we've been able to be upfront about everything. The appraisal, the inspection. I have all that information when I go to sell this house now. So it's like, here it is.
Right.
With the improvements and everything, this is where we price the house on top of this appraisal, and that's what we would like to have for it. And it makes for just like what you said, all the information is out there. We as consumers, we've gotten more smart about what we're buying too. And so there's a lot of information on the internet that provides you with the ability to research and find out about a property. So I like to do videos, go through the home and do videos, and then upload those to YouTube on these homes. So that's been a big help. You can actually walk through the home. So as agents, I encourage them to do that to all their homes. You wouldn't believe how many that don't. But the CPO program is definitely a program, not necessarily for everybody, because if you're upside down in your home, maybe you took another mortgage out on it. So your second put you on top and sort of floating heavy. And maybe that program doesn't work for you, but maybe you don't owe anything on your home and you just don't want to list it and you don't want to do all this fixing. Listen, this program's perfect for you. Yeah, that's where you give us a telephone call. Let us come out, get something put together. We'll do a full market value cash offer, and we can do that in 12 days. Now, oftentimes, I try to get a little bit more time in there just to make sure that we're not rushing. But we've done it in 12 days. We've gotten that appraisal back. We've gotten that inspection back and found out what's cooking with this house. What does it need? And then we fully disclose it. And it's been a real nice benefit because what I'm able to do is bring a home that might have been an ashtray, may have had a moisture problem in the basement, might have been some elevated radon, and I've now put something on the market that's been cleaned up, it's shined up really nice, and folks aren't moving into something that's needing repair, don't ever do repair, and they're living in something that's not as, maybe not as nice as what we've provided now. So this is my experience with the CPO program. Has been great. Not for everybody, but boy, has it been helping some folks that really needed it, especially that foreclosure victim coming on.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, sir. And, and to your point, with the assisted living piece, I mean, there's folks in all of our communities that the children are, let's put it this way. I mean, if you're kind of considering assisted living and you're up in those years, your kids probably ain't any spring chickens either, right? So, I mean, they may not. I've actually sold homes where the owners, the parents who actually were still in really good condition and health, they were moving to a community in which they could get some help. And their children actually physically and all that were in worse shape than they were. And so they couldn't help them with certain things that we can step in and assist with and helping them with that transition. The other thing, too, is this is a big one, is fear. Life happens. And, when you're going through something, you need an advocate and you need somebody on your side. And that's where I believe a professional real estate agent, I'm not going to categorize every real estate agent in that. I'm talking about the true professional real estate agents in the state, in the industry. That's where they can really step up and give you guidance and help you through those situations. And with the CPO program, that really does do all the heavy lifting for you so that you can move on to the next step of your life, whatever that may be. And let's face it, when you're in fear of, the bank is hounding you for a mortgage payment, what I find is typically the house is the last thing that people stop paying. So you may already be just worn out, weary, and tired from all the other creditors, the credit card companies, maybe the car payment is, the guy with the car is beating on you, and hopefully maybe they've already repossessed the car, and you just find yourself in this state of uncertainty. And a lot of folks go into hibernation. A lot of folks just put their head in the sand and hide and hope that these things go away.
And they don't.
And my experience, folks, and they won't, and they're not going to. And it just is life, and I won't even get into the fair and unfair pieces of all these things, but look, it's happening, and most of the time what you need is just some strong shoulders to stand up on. That's where a solid real estate professional can help that has systems and tools like the CPO process and like a large, database of investors, because that typically at that point with this particular program is what you're going to need. You're going to need somebody that can move relatively quickly because we're facing a time clock. If you don't do X by a certain time, ultimately, guys, the bank is going to come take the house.
That's right.
It is their collateral. It is going to happen. And a lot of times with our investors, we can also assist with the moving piece, whether it be in the CPO process, but we have other programs, and I know Rowena does too, where there's investors out there that can help you. Maybe it's just a few $1,000s to get you to the next place, whatever that looks like. And so there's options out there as opposed to just doing nothing. The other thing is a lot of times we find that people have a lot of equity still in their home. Just because you're behind on your payments doesn't mean you don't have equity in your house. It's your money.
That's right. I
actually purchased a home myself at a foreclosure auction. So a foreclosure auction means you don't get to go to the house and look at it before you buy it. In North Carolina, that's called trespassing, okay, because the bank doesn't technically own it yet, but they are going to own it after the foreclosure. I purchased a home that was being foreclosed on. They don't really give you a lot of detail. It's just, here's the auction date, right, Patrick? You show up, you make your bid, and that's that. And so I won the bid. Turns out there was no mortgage on this house, Patrick. The HOA foreclosed. These people lost their home for $3,800.
I know.
That is what they were behind in their HOA dues. And so so we got the home. They're living in the house still, really not knowing what's going on. And the great thing in North Carolina is we paid, obviously, considerably more than $3,800 for the house. We paid hundreds of thousands of dollars. They were still entitled to that money. And so we were able to help them go to the clerk of court, be able to claim the money that was rightfully theirs, and they were able to get that money and move into a property that fit their lifestyle at that time. I say that though, if they would have reached out to us ahead of time, we could have avoided a lot of the fees, or they could have avoided a lot of the fees that the bank put in there. Had they just reached out to us, we could have purchased the home prior to the foreclosure, which would have gave them, more money because we don't have attorneys involved in all those things at that time. So, guys, if you're facing something like that, these programs that we have, whether it be, the CPO for sale by owner, the assisted living, whatever the case may be, or you just simply want to sell your home without the hassle of strangers walking through your house. I mean, Patrick, have you ever had a dinner party and just mailed out invitations to random people and just said, "Hey, come eat with us"? Who does that, right?
Right.
But that's what we do when we sell our home. We just say, "Hey, stranger, come walk through my house and check it out."
Yeah.
That's not for everybody. It's not for everybody.
That's right. That's right. Jason, thank you for bringing that up. That, it's it really is not for everybody. And that's what I hear when I come into folks. Well, do you have somebody that might just go ahead and buy it and we don't have to go through that listing? Well, yeah, I do have some pocket buyers, but it's often not that full cash, that full market value cash offer, and that's what this CPO program provides. And so once you sell your home, you get to keep all the upside. And traditionally, well, with this program, 2/3 of the sellers make more than they would have on the traditional home sale. So you don't have to go through the headaches of repair, renegotiation, and showings, and dealing with the listing.
Right.
And the agent doesn't have to come and sort of waddle through your stuff, because I'll be honest with you, and I might fall in this category a bit myself in some points and times in my life. I've purged a little bit now, but sometimes you got a lot of stuff. And walking people through all your oh, man.
Yeah.
And then it becomes a game of, and I've done it a 100 times, nobody's looking at the house. They're looking at all this stuff. How do they have all this stuff, Wow, look at that. That's from the 70s. Oh, I haven't seen a console TV like that in forever. Anyway,
Right.
I'm just saying, thinning out.
Well, yeah, that's right. Well, and you think about, why do people move? I mean, most people move because a lot of times they're out of space. So when they come look at your home and it's crammed, your house probably is actually perfectly, it's perfect for them. Otherwise, they probably wouldn't have showed up based upon some of the data that they gathered. But when they come in there and it's packed floor to ceiling in every single closet, they're like, "Oh, we can't buy this house. They don't have any storage either. We need a bigger house because we need what? More storage."
Yeah, and the picture is painted for them, and you don't even have a chance. So with the CPO program, you clear your stuff on out of there. Maybe we freshen it up. Maybe we take that white carpet. For some reason here in western Asheville, western North Carolina, the 80s were big time on white carpet, which, I drink red wine a good bit. Randy, white wine, you probably get away with it.
The two don't mix.
The two don't mix. White carpet
and red wine.
And red wine don't go together. But anyway, the white marble's also tough for the red wine, but I'll deal with that because I love white marble.
Point. Yeah, another point I'll bring out. If you had white carpet installed in the 80s, folks, let's just be real. It ain't white anymore.
No.
I mean, it just ain't white anymore.
Yeah, the corners are nice and brown.
Unless you can levitate over the carpet, no.
No.
But how about kids and pets, Patrick? I feel for the young moms when we sell their home, because I know what my life was like when my girls were small and not even selling a home. I mean, it's just a miracle that everybody is still living and getting ready for the showing by the time we throw all the toys and hide them wherever we got to hide them. right?
You pile
And then
your
it's-
three
and then
kids and
of
your
course-
3 dogs in the car, and you just spent 2.5 hours shining this place up. You are wore out, and now you got to listen to crying babies going down the road. Oh, I've been there.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Or I mean, we get these calls and be like, oh, I can't do it. I mean, I got the kids in the house. I mean, I got the kids and everything picked up, and then the dog, threw up all over the place. It's like, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. Stop the madness, right? And in the past years, it's been maybe not quite as. It's always a little crazy, but the houses haven't been on the market that long. But boy, let's go back to the fun times, 2013, 14, and 15, when your house was on the market for 9 months, and you never even knew when the showing was going to happen, and you went 20 days without a showing, and all of a sudden, Patrick calls you. You got somebody coming in from Iowa that, whatever, they sold their house finally as well, and they want to see it, and you're like, oh my God, I'm not ready. And that's stress. And so that's what you can avoid. And that's the beautiful thing about all these different, types of the certified pre-owned variant, if you will, these variants that we have on the program. It's really, how about this? One showing, one time walk through the house.
And that's Patrick.
Walking
through your home and saying, this place will qualify just fine for a CPO.
Exactly. And
well, the new home,
closing.
Yeah, the new home program's pretty cool too. If you think about it this way, you've got an offer in your pocket, and although Patrick wants you to do it right now, this thing's sort of sitting around there a minute. Now the market might fluctuate. That offer might be a little bit different. The appraisal might change in 6 months, but it's still there. So let's say, for instance, you're building a new home, and you don't want to deal with showings. You got your life. You're over here building this new home. And then it comes up to where, you need to go ahead and get it sold. Well, you get it on the market for a week or so. Nothing happens. You got this CPO offer in the back pocket. Boom. You cash in. You get your money. You go ahead and get your new home. You move on over there. And then let us finish it up if it needs some shining. And then, you get to, participate in the win. And you keep all the upside. You keep the waterfall. After we've cleaned it up, we put it back on the market. Yeah, man, this is a great program to where you don't have to deal with a lot of the unnecessary, actions that we go through. But you also know exactly what your home's worth. You've gotten an inspection, and let's just say it didn't work out. You're armed with information, and you can go back to the market with a traditional sale. Maybe you realized after talking to us that, you know what, you guys, we can pull all the furniture on out of here. We can paint these walls. But do you really want to do that? No.
Right.
So, go ahead and participate in this program. Let us do all the busy work and all the hard work. Right, Jason?
That's right. And that's a valuable thing you just said. Because a lot of times, if you deal with a lot of investors out here in the world, they'll put your house under contract, they'll do their due diligence, and then they say, "Oh, it doesn't work," and they walk away, and you've got nothing.
Nothing.
With the CPO program, if the investor decides, okay, maybe the math just doesn't work for whatever reason, whatever, just it could be any, it just the star and the moon didn't align. Hey, guess what? They're going to give you the appraisal. They're going to give you the home inspection. They're going to give you this investigation work that they did. That's thousands of dollars of value that you have at no cost. So that's a huge incentive. And then to Patrick's point, if you did re-enter the market, you're armed with information in which perhaps didn't work for one investor A, but maybe works for John and Mary that are deciding to move in, and they're not concerned about this and that, and they're going to do the elbow grease themselves or whatever. So there's still value in getting the data, getting the information.
That's right, man. That's right. And I've found that it brings up a big conversation within the family too, because then they're able to talk about well maybe we do this. We can make our move. We're going to have 20% after this to put down on this other home that I really want. And so that's, I don't know. I've found ways to be able to use this program, and it's opened my mind to really being able to have something to help people. And that's what I dig, man. This is the first program that I've run across that's not a 50% offer and then, minus out the repairs. It's not a 70% offer and then minus out the repairs. This is an offer that's a full market value cash offer, and you get to participate in the upsides of it. So if everything goes to plan and works perfectly, a lot of times you've got value there that, you wouldn't have gotten otherwise. So you can also participate in our Tunnels to Towers program, and you can donate that money to veterans. That money being the windfall, the waterfall part of this, the upside of the sale of the home once we get it fixed for you and clean it up. And so that's another program that we participate in to help our veterans out there. And, they go and take that money and they pay off Wounded Warriors mortgages. They come in and put new roofs on houses of retired veterans that have sort of gone into a bad place. So cash CPO options are phenomenal. Jason, I want to thank you so much today for coming on and your expertise and just knowing your market there in Raleigh, but just knowing North Carolina as a whole and being a participant in this great program. I'm just thrilled and honored to have you on the show. Thank you so much. Jason, if somebody were moving to Raleigh, how would they get in touch with you? What's the name of all your firm and your folks?
Yeah, so I'll make it real easy. I'm a hard guy to find. Just go Google Jason Bramblett. How about that? and we should be coming up.
Yep.
There's two Jason Brambletts that are going to show up. One lives in Nashville and is a country singer. I'm not him. I'm the other guy. How about that? I'm the other guy. That has anything to do with real estate. We can help you pretty much all the Raleigh, the Triangle area, the Triad area, so Greensboro, Winston-Salem, High Point as well. 30-something counties in the state of North Carolina that we cover. We can certainly assist you with relocation, or if you want to get more information about the CPO, or if you, you can also reach me. If you can't get in touch with Rowena Patrick for whatever reason, just reach out to us and we'll connect you guys. We will be happy to share the information and get you connected with them as well.
That's great. Jason Bramblett, Bramblet. Just Google them and you can find them, folks. Everybody, I want to thank you for listening today. Randy, my producer, thank you for always holding my hand. And hey, listen, folks, reach out there to somebody you hadn't talked to in a while. Go ahead and reach out to that friend you hadn't talked to. Maybe it's been 10 years. You just tell them, hey, I ran across your phone number, was thinking about you. This is a time when we all need that touch, you guys. So reach out to that family member. Maybe y'all had a little bit of a fight or something. Just call them today. Today's a beautiful day. Reach out to your friends. Thank you very much. Patrick here filling in for Rowena Patton and the All-Star Powerhouse in Asheville, North Carolina.
This has been the Plain English Real Estate Show with Rowena Patton. Visit Rowena and post your questions at radioasheville.com or call her at 828-210-1648.